to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for the victims of the terrible tragedy in Norway. Thank you.
Chilled.
All right, well, welcome everyone to the Village Board meeting of July 5th, 2011. First thing is we need to make 2 additions to the agenda. We're going to add an item of business number 5 regarding some money in escrow for Kings Act, and we're going to add an executive session after a citizens conference. Any other changes? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And just so the public's aware, Trustee Stewart regrets he couldn't be here tonight. He's dealing with a bad virus, so he's unable to attend. All right, the first thing on the agenda tonight is the continuation of the public hearing, local law number 1 for 2011 on lighting and signage. Before we open up the public hearing formally, and there's some people here to speak to the issue, I just want to say I know that Trustee Matthews has been spending a lot of time on this issue. She's done some research and found out that there might be some good resources on the county level that we might be able to utilize. So if the village board is in favor, once we hear all the comments tonight, we'll keep the public hearing open so we can get that information from the county. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, that it's a wise thing for us to do, and that we are supposed to do it anyway. So they have been doing some recent work on historic buildings right here in the center of the village, by the way, where the costs are cut down and you're utilizing historic design. So it's where the Dave Church was very forward-coming with information for us, and looks forward to hearing from
That's
us.
excellent. Well, thank you for the work you've done on that.
It's my pleasure.
All right, with that, I'll ask for a motion to begin the public hearing for tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, with that, the public hearing is now open. Any comments from the public on the lighting? This says lighting and signage, but it's just on lighting. It's just on the period lights.
Right.
Okay. So, all right. Any comments from the public on this issue? Yes, Mr. Petrini.
Ray Quattrini, can you just give us an update of where you are at this point with this process? What it is, your thoughts of where you want to go? I understand you're going to repeal one of the ordinances that relate to signage in the ordinance, have to do with period lighting.
Well, the genesis from this, it started a number of months ago. Basically, the concept why this came forward is certain of the period lights that the village has to be installed per our code. O&R doesn't maintain them, so when something happens to them, need to be replaced, then the cost then falls on the taxpayers, that burden, as opposed to O&R picking up the tab. So we're looking at a way as if it can be amended, changed, to make it so when there's some issue with the light, that we can not have to have it come up to taxpayer dollars and more O&R responsibility. So that's kind of where we're at. There's no, by all means.
And from my perspective, I understand it being raised because of the cost, particularly that comes out of, no, I'm not picking on Harness Estates, it just happened to fall under that guide, but that's a perfect example of when you have period lighting that the replacement falls on the taxpayers. Now, my concern is that we do not devalue the period lighting in this community, because along with many of our laws, I find that the enhancement of the historic character of the community is what makes us more valuable financially, as well as emotionally, about enjoying the downtown. So what concerns me is, and why I have invested time in looking at this, is removal of a law without replacement of a law would concern me, and I'm looking and have been endeavoring to find, and luckily, because I did not have great response from the state levels, that the county planning department has been doing its own work on this. In fact, excuse me, the new historian, as recently as today, was going to the legislature to try to get them to support her concept of additional lighting for the 1841 courthouse, and additional funds for saving the upstairs. Any of you have ever, this is totally a sidebar, but if you've ever been in that building and gone upstairs, when you walk into the, Mary Grace smiling because I know she's been there, if you walk into that building, it's like walking into Gregory Peck. and you are there for the Scopes trial, or you are there for To Kill a Mockingbird, you are there for a classic time of another century, and it's there for us to respect and save, which is how I feel about so much of this. However, we're endeavoring to find a way to not have that break the backs of the taxpayers in such needy times. I would hope that we do not solely remove, but that we replace with modification.
Just to build back on that, there's a lot of value in having the period lighting downtown, because it is a beautiful downtown, and we don't want to do something that's going to alter the character. But I know just from some conversations I've had, Arjarata might have some light sets that are similar to period lighting that maybe we could utilize. So it's more exploration. The process was starting a long time ago, and kind of was put on the wayside because of all the other issues the village has been dealing with. But we want to bring it to a close in the near future, not tonight, but we're still trying to get as much information as we can from whether it's the county or just residents.
So then the thought is that you're not looking to come up with another concept for the period lighting, just another lamp post itself? Is that the idea?
Well, I
When
don't
you're
think there's
replacing the lamp post or the bulb, I mean, I'm really not sure what it is that the cost of which you are trying to eliminate. Is it the lamp post? Is it the light bulb? Is it the cost of the electric? What is it exactly that you are trying to eliminate by changing this law?
Well, I don't want to narrow it down and misspeak. To be honest, we're still in the exploration stage, and it's not a foregone conclusion. We might, based on comments and what we learn, we might say, all right, it's fine the way it is. And I don't have the document in front of me right now, but in the past, getting bills for things, in harness estates when they need to be fixed or whatever, and that's, an economic burden on us. So is it the part of the post or light bulb itself or top? I don't want to misspeak and say I know which part of the actual fixture we're referring to. But I mean, whether it's the bulb or the body or whatever, everything costs money these days.
So at this point, the fact is you have not made it, you really don't have a design of anything at this point. You're just still researching the concept of it.
That's my understanding.
What my understanding is?
Right, we're not looking to change all the period lighting into column A instead of column B or anything like that. It's more on a moving forward. And I would assume whatever's there would be grandfathered in.
So we're quite a ways away from any kind of a decision on this.
Well, it's not going to happen tonight, but
Well,
this process has been going on for a number of months, so I don't want it to be another 4 or 5 months from now we're having the same public hearing. So while it's not in the immediate near future, I think we do need to bring this to a close in the next few weeks or maximum a month, just because this public hearing was open a number of months ago.
Go ahead. I'm not trying to belabor this. I'm just trying to get an idea of where we are with this and how you're going to change this. Can you tell me what expenses that it is that you're trying to eliminate? Is it the light bulb itself?
Yeah, Ray, last year alone, lights and harness estates are horrible. They don't work. I'm just using harness as an example, okay? Last year alone, we spent about $3,000 on maintenance on those light fixtures, between the bulbs, the globes on top, problems with extensions themselves. Because they're not O&R lights, we own them. We have to fix them.
I understand that.
Originally, the concept began with reaching out to O&R, and I think we're still trying to get that data. Maybe you have it, Marcy, at this point, maybe don't. I'm not sure if they've gotten back to you. But we had come to learn that they may have some light sets that are very substantially similar to what we use here. And if they were nice, and they would fit in, and the character would be good, we would want future developers or whomever that's going to be putting up lighting to start using those lights from O&R, because then O&R will be responsible for all the maintenance and everything. But they have to work. They have to look. When I say work, their appearance has to work. No one wants any of those, big overhanging arms or anything like that. It's just simply trying to find places we can get these lights where, for example, O&R would take care of them.
O&R will take care of it.
If it's their lights, yes. If you get the lights from O&R, they will take care of the maintenance.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
In my research that I've been doing, I have found that changing of bulbs to the LCDs, which is a lot of what they were talking about at the county level, can save us substantially. And I would hope, I have great respect for the work that was done by you and downtown and putting up those lights and the contributions that people made to paying for those lights that line our downtown street and set the tone for the entire heart of the village. As you know, I do. Therefore, it's one of the reasons that, frustrating as it is, that you don't get all the answers you want in 25 minutes, and I know we all like to just put this to bed. The best response that I've had has been from Dave Church, because time being as it is, they were working on a similar concept. So we look forward to working closely with him now. He's been very straightforward and forthcoming, and I talked to him as recently as this afternoon. So solely from my perspective, I'm hoping that we can find ways to save money for the taxpayers, maintain the historic character of the community, not to defile any of the investment that is already put in with respect for the history and coming from your organization and from specifically your hard work.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. So when you have made a decision on this piece of equipment, or this apparatus, will the public be aware of this before it is put into law?
Well, as I said, we're not going to close the public hearing tonight, so at a future board meeting, there's going to be another night of the same thing as this, and whatever findings we have at that point, we'll be sharing with the public beforehand, just like this. Obviously, you know, you care deeply about this issue, as does I think the other people with you here tonight. You have my number, you have Marcia's number. You can give us a call at any time to say what's the status, how are things looking. We can share that with you. That's all public. You know, we're not trying to hide anything put up at the last minute and say, what do you think we're voting tonight?
Never thought it would happen. It's just-
Right. So,
Just here just to get some information,
Sure.
that's all.
oh, yeah, absolutely. But as we move along, you'll be right there with us and try some information getting out there.
My question is, and I don't want to cut anybody off, but my question is, it says lighting and signage.
I don't know.
So it's just a typo.
It's not about
I thought they
signage.
were in the same kind of,
No.
this, whatever, repeal, this section 5.2, 5.2.3.3, whatever, lighting and signage. My understanding is it's all one section in the,
Yeah, it's really actually
The-
simply.
the
last line.
regulation.
It's really simply the last line of the regulation, which says recessed or period lighting and landscaping. It's really just the recessed and period lighting part.
well,
That it was intended to cover.
well, it says,
No, no, I-
right here, it says
Yeah.
lighting and signage.
Yeah.
That's the name of the,
That's just the section.
That's
We're
just
changing
the
one section, part of that body, if we do.
if we do anything.
Okay. Well, because my take, or my thought was that we're going to discuss about also merchants in the village and their sign usage and stuff like that.
That's not covered by what they're projecting here. That's the next thing that Kyle proposed last week about there being a group of people.
Yeah,
who
but
are
you
talking
to
about
evaluate that stuff. That's a separate thing.
Okay.
All right. This is solely just the
All right.
lights themselves.
I had the same reaction.
I mean, I don't have an issue with it personally, but I'm just saying, I know people that do have an issue with, and I've heard many of people complaining pretty much about the not being able to put up signs to their satisfaction or whatever have you, that this didn't meet this or that or whatever have you and stuff.
Yeah, that's the
Exactly.
genesis for putting together a committee to evaluate that, but that's a separate issue. I mean, it goes to the heart of the same thing. I mean, how can we help our residents, help our businesses while at the same time maintaining that historic character that others have worked so hard to maintain? But this itself is just on the lighting. So, and if that committee brings forth recommendations that would merit a change in the code, then that would be another public hearing. This is the process. Any further comments? Yes.
I'd like to comment. I think Marcia has a sensitivity of the design district, the architectural design district. And if you would keep at least that district in mind and change it, if you want to change the
Anything.
lights, you be aware of the design district and keep that area free of any modern fixtures.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that the whole board is in agreement that we don't want to do anything that's going to change the character of that district. Because it is, it's the heart of our community, as Trustee Matthews said. Right?
In terms of the commercial areas, this is the, what we all refer to as the Grand Union Plaza. If that were to be redeveloped, would there be a possibility that the onus for maintenance of period lighting be put on the developer? Can that happen?
That was where I started in my endeavor. That was where I started in my endeavor to find communities where they have put the onus on. The closest that I've been able to come is that, yes, there are communities where, because I contacted New York State Planning, and I got that, yes, there are areas where when it is commercial, they put the onus on the developer. However, when I asked for copies of the law, I haven't received them. I'm hoping with Dave Church's help, I'll get copies of those laws.
That sounds like a
In
good idea.
commercial areas.
In the commercial
That applied to commercial areas.
Strangers, you want to speak?
Yes, who pays for the maintenance and the servicing of the period lighting fixtures?
I believe the village?
And who actually does it?
DPW, generally speaking, unless it's something,
DPW?
massively electric, so to speak,
I
then
mean,
might have to be.
if you're changing a bulb or a globe.
Yeah, no,
That's
goes-
all done
That's
in-house.
DPW.
Yes. Mr. Markowitz.
Step away here. As you know, I'm deeply skeptical and somewhat suspicious suspicious is the right word, but somewhat adversarial to mandating aesthetics. Now, that's not to take away anything from what Ray has done with his development, what a developer may choose to do with their development. It is also not to denigrate or to devalue the concept of having a dedicated commercial corridor that is uniform and has some bit of dressing up to it as a commercial corridor. The idea of extending it to an architectural district, which is wider, does not sit well with me. As you know, again, I'm quite adversarial and skeptical of the idea of mandated aesthetics and design districts in general. Again, not to take away from what is done optionally, what someone may choose to do with their development, but mandating it, requiring it, is something that I have question about as falling under the umbrella of what municipal government should be. It's not a basic service, it's not infrastructure, it's not the fundamentals of what municipal government should be. Along those lines, I also have question about extending it beyond a district to residential development. Were it coming before the board today, I would speak out against jamming it down the throat of a developer like Harness Estates. If they choose to do it, that's fine. But it should be their choice, not something that's mandated. Just as a devil advocate proposition, there may be some people who really enjoy that. There may be some people who would prefer not to live in a development of that nature, who would look for something that would be ultra-modern, or something other than historical period. So again, I don't feel that it falls to the board to mandate that a development be of a particular aesthetic. That said, I hope you take a good hard look at this. I'll be right there urging it along. I love the idea of getting the board out from under the cost of maintaining this stuff, although ultimately if O&R is maintaining it, it's all folded into our rates. But getting it off the tax roll is a good thing. Right there behind it.
Thank you very much.
Well, just a minor response to that, I'd like to say that though I appreciate your constant in your direction, that it is not merely
That's called
a local-
consistency.
Yeah, I know. Constant in your direction, I think, is more pointed. Not only are these areas designated by us locally, but also by state historic preservation after many years and hours of work, not just by government, but by the citizens who live in this community, in business and in residential areas. That's it.
All right, thank you. Any further comments? All right, again, we're going to keep it open. And as I said, any members of the public, whether they're here or at home, that want more clarification or just find out as we uncover information, we're happy to share that. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming tonight for this section of the meeting. Yes, do we need to make a motion to continue the public hearing?
Well, as a general rule, it's a good idea to continue to a date certain. If you do not continue to a date certain, you should adjourn it without date, but you'll have to republish the notice.
Okay.
So yeah, those are your options.
You're spending the most
What do you
time on
think
this
of
one.
the noise? Yeah.
I wouldn't make it just 2 weeks, I would say, because we're going to have the meetings with the county planning and it's summertime, so.
Second.
I'm sorry, but I think it's going to have to go as you get to August.
That's okay.
Yeah, okay.
There's no urgency. It's just about finding.
Well, it's right now the end of, we only have one more meeting here, and I would like both the 2 more meetings after that, not just 2.
Did you want to do the first public meeting in September or the last public meeting in August?
I would do
To
the
be on the
first.
safe side.
I would do it at first in September, so we don't get cut short.
Okay, that's fine. So let's, what's the date on that? What do you got?
The first meeting in September.
First and third, sixth?
Second and
Oh,
fourth.
second.
It would be the second.
Second, fourth.
Second,
So it'll be the 12th.
Monday. The 12th? Okay, so
Okay.
I'll ask for
Thank you
motion
for your
to,
cooperation there.
yeah, absolutely. Continue the public hearing until September 12th. I'll ask for a motion on that.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so
Okay.
you're the first public meeting in September. We'll have this again, but definitely before then, we'll show a lot of information to be shared, so stay tuned.
And I just wanted to publicly thank Marcy for the time that she's put into this. I know that
Thank
the
you.
historic aspect of the village is very, very dear to her heart, as it is to ours, and I'm sure to yours as well. And just one other thing, I know that Peter made reference to a sign committee that you were going to put together. I would like to offer my time
Be
to
wonderful.
you to do that as a representative of the chamber and the government environment.
That'd be excellent.
So if you just let me know when you'd like to meet, I'll be happy
Sure.
to serve.
I think that in addition, we have a few people now. Lynn Sion is going to send out a message to the chamber just in case we can get some more businesses involved, just to get some more people downtown. So we'd absolutely love to have you. It's really open to anyone.
Great.
More heads are better than fewer heads.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much. All right, we'll move forward with the rest of the meeting. We're going to approve the minutes from the July 11th Village Board meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review these minutes? Any modifications or omissions? All right, hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve. Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Passes. Village Board work session from July 18th. Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Someone,
Second,
Second.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Down to communications. We have 2 thank you letters from the recipients of the Village of Goshen Scholarship. The donor of the Village of Goshen Scholarship, thank you very much for generously contributing to this award and in turn to me. The expenses that come along with the college tuition can be difficult to fund, and this scholarship will assist me in the many purchases I will be making. Double majoring in film and art, I will be taking a lot of classes, many needing textbooks and supplies. My college bookstore should have the items that I will be in need of, and paying for them could add up to a lot. I appreciate being granted this award, and will use it to make wise purchases. Thanks again, sincerely, Christina Adanasio.
yes, Christine, we'll add up to a lot.
And another one from our other winner, Village of Goshen. I would like to express my immense gratitude for this scholarship I received from you. It was such a wonderful surprise, as well as an honor to be chosen as your recipient. Words cannot denote my complete appreciation. It truly was an honor. Sincerely, Sierra Dawson. 2 very fine young women. And again, just so the public is aware, that's from the community development part of the county. So that's not coming from village taxpayers, but it's through a grant that we received. So, all right, we have a letter from Dr. John Carey from Goshen Rotary. Dear Sirs and Madam, on August 21st, 2011, the 24th annual tour to Goshen will take place. This year, as in the past, proceeds will benefit Winslow Therapeutic Center. Winslow is a nonprofit organization accredited by the North American Handicap Riding Association Incorporated, which provides individualized therapeutic riding to improve motor, cognitive, perceptual, and social development for people of all ages. The route will be going through your municipality. We appreciate the support you have provided in the past and look forward to your support again this year. The chief has looked over this. He said patrols will be monitoring the crossing, and they will need to get the routes and insurance. And all that should be good. And this is one of the events that will not require any police overtime, so that's a good thing. So, being said, it's a great event. I've ridden in the past. I know that our engineer is an avid bicyclist, and I'm sure he'll be attending. And I guess I'll ask for a motion to give approval for this.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any comments?
Only that if you've ever gone over to Winslow, it's absolutely amazing to see kids who have trouble walking and relating so magnificently to horses. Horses are just tremendous animals.
It's an excellent event for the community. We're happy to have you here. We thank Dr. Carey and also the entire Rotary. We have a Rotarian here. Maureen, thank you. And we're looking forward to this event. So, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. All right, a few weeks back, Trustee Smith asked about sending out a mailer about the recycling, and letting people know that we have recycling on the 5th Wednesday now. I think it's a good idea, but we just want to get board approval before it. The cost would be $700 to send a mailer out to everyone in the village. So I just want some direction from the board if we want to proceed with that. $700 is definitely not cheap, but if it saves us in our garbage tipping fees, then it would pay for itself. So it might be a good thing to do, but I'm just looking for some more direction on this one.
I think it's a good idea. I think we should just share some ideas over the next week or two before it goes out. Like things, when we send this mailer, different things we might want to have on there, and simply single stream recycling.
Well, I think if you take advantage, I don't know, we have to kind of sit down and figure out how much verbiage we can get on the card. And we need to max utilize it. And I think that if people can get a kind of a gist of an understanding, because I just signed a voucher here for $30-some hundred for a week's worth of garbage.
Right.
And if you can reduce that by a quarter, and that's a long shot, that's a lot. That's 10 tons of garbage. It was roughly 41 and a half tons of garbage for that $30-something hundred. But you can figure, even if you got a reduction of 5 tons of garbage, but if the public are made aware of it, like, listen, if we can knock this down, we could save $800 a week, we could save $3,000+ a month, we could save close to $40,000 a year by just recycling, and obviously the other benefit to it is less stuff going to the landfill and, a little more greener environment. So, if we can just try to get, figure out, I guess, what we need to put on that card to try to stimulate the process and hopefully, garner support for the residents, where, just like everybody's, not happy about their tax dollars and stuff and what they gotta pay and stuff, and this is a way to try to reduce some cost savings.
I support exactly what you're saying, and I think that there are a few things that are new and different. Number one, that we collect every Wednesday. Number two, it's a single stream. Now, what does that mean to people? I don't know that they even know what a single stream is. You get used to the vernacular and people don't understand it. It means you can mix everything together and it's picked up every Wednesday. I think you put it perfectly. If you put down, we save this much per week, this much per month, this much per year, I think that will really come across. I think you just said it brilliantly. On top of that, I think we could also put down other, information. Yard waste will be collected until this date. Or the no on-street parking starts as of this date, so that it, will cover as much as we can fit on that card and make it even more worth our while than the $700 investment. Good idea.
Potentially, if my theory kind of holds true, because, I do notice in the village that a lot of people just don't recycle. So this might spur some people to start recycling, and then it might spur others to enhance their recycling. And I think that a target goal to reduce it by
the village website, just because if you
No,
want to learn
good
more,
idea,
go here.
right.
The only other thing that I'll add is I know that the Environmental Review Board is looking into recycling and trying to develop if there's better policies we can use for enforcement, things like that. Before we send it out, I'll touch base with them. If they're close to developing something, then we can hold off and see if it's something the board wants to adopt and do this as well. But I know they only meet once a month, so if they're kind of still further off on that, then I would say we should go ahead. But if that's okay with the board, I'll check with them. Okay.
maybe in the interim time frame, Jerry could just emphasize that if she happens to publish anything in the Chronicle.
It's just a
Saying we'd love it if you put that in.
What's that?
We'd love it if you put that in.
Yes,
It was a subtle hint.
I thought I heard my name. You woke me up.
All right, wonderful. Last item of communication, we have a letter from the Goshen Central School District. Dear Mayor Roddy, we have been very concerned about the traffic flow on Murray Avenue between Scottsdale Avenue and McNally Street. Over the last couple of years, with the increased traffic in the area, we are concerned for vehicle and pedestrian safety. We are doing our best to make sure that our buses travel slow and safe during our pickup and drop-off times. We feel that a south side no parking for vehicles would help with the traffic flow and keep that area from being so congested. We are very concerned with safety and will do our best to continue to travel with the utmost caution at all times. Thank you for considering this change. Sincerely, Donna Post, the Director of Transportation for Goshen Central Schools. Essentially, I looked into this a little more. The south side is the right side. If you're on up Murray, going towards the intermediate school, they have a lot of buses that go in there 5 days a week and turn up there. I guess things are pretty congested. I don't live on that section of Murray, so I couldn't speak to, how it affects the people who live up there, but I would have to imagine having a lot of buses, on top of cars parked on both sides can be a burden. So I think it's something we should definitely entertain, but I'll ask for their opinion on this.
That's up going towards Harness Estate?
Yes.
So on this side going towards the center of the village, there'd be no parking.
I believe on the right side if you're going up the hill.
You go with Scotchtown, and you
Right.
hang the right on that side as you're heading up the hill.
You're still be parked on the left side.
I'm
just not
going
the right
up
side.
Murray,
Scotchtown, take a right on
going
Murray.
up Murray,
Yes, that
Up
side.
Murray towards Harness.
correct.
That
Well,
side.
Harness is never mind.
Well, that right side.
Uh-huh.
You're going to a barbecue then? So you're going up there.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, currently, right now, people can park on either side.
on both
Try to
sides
get-
of Murray. So across the street from the church or on the side of the
No,
church?
this is
Nowhere near.
just Murray.
Only
that's between
there
Scotchtown.
and up to, but
Because all the
not,
buses line
that's
up.
the reason I
All
raised
the
the
buses
issue.
have to line up in the morning on
I
that side of the
understand.
street.
I know, so it's not going to affect the front of the church at all?
No.
Okay.
It's not even this side of Murray, it's
Just
just
between
between
Scotchtown
Scotchtown and
and McNally.
Yeah.
Okay, that being the case, it'll be like it is on Lincoln Avenue,
Right.
because we have the same issue
Right.
Yeah,
with
with the
the
school.
buses going up. And we are allowed to park on the northern side of the street, but not on the southern.
Exactly.
Understood, so that can intelligent.
I mean, I don't think it'll place much of a burden on people who live up there, but what we would have to do on this is have a public hearing
Public hearing.
where we would let those residents know that it's something we're entertaining, and they could come and let us know what their favor is on this.
Was that something that we could kill two birds in one stone, and we could put something like this together and have a public hearing that addresses this and the lighting and
I was
stuff?
going to say about that same
We
day.
could do it on the same date, yeah.
Wouldn't, I should think that they're trying to get that little thing taken care
That's
of.
before school
school
starts, that's
starts.
true.
Sure.
So our best bet, I would think, to be to pass a resolution declaring a public hearing tonight and have it at our next public
At our
meeting.
next meeting.
Yeah, and we can always keep it open
Yeah,
again.
that's true. Yeah.
But
I'm sure that's their intent, that they would want to have this done before school starts.
I know that the chief is in favor support of this from a safety perspective, having all the cars up there. So at least from my perspective, I think it'd be a good move, pending hearing from some people. But
It's also how we ended up with that on Lincoln Avenue, because of
Same
the
concept,
school
yeah.
buses.
So
Same
there's only
concept.
one side of the street parking?
Correct.
The right side, going down from the...
Going down towards the center, no parking.
You park at Marcia's.
My side of the street, you can park.
all right, well, if everyone's in favor, I'll ask for a motion to schedule a public hearing for one-side parking between Scottsdale and McNally on Murray Avenue for our next public meeting, which would be, I guess, the second Monday in
August
August.
8th.
August 8th.
If I can interrupt for a second.
Absolutely.
Is there sufficient time to put that in the?
I would say, why don't we do the 22nd?
It's, I'm okay with that, it's just if evidence came forward and wanted us to continue it, then we would be getting into the school
I just
season.
don't know, you need 10
I'm sure
days
the school,
notice.
I'm sure the school, all the,
If we're gonna, are we gonna make, so you're not gonna make the,
Today's the
Right.
25th.
Well, if it was in the Chronicle this Friday, would that give?
well, since we have 2 official newspapers, it's gotta be in both.
Okay. Okay, so we have no choice then.
You really have no choice.
Okay,
now.
then it is what it is.
Okay.
plus I'm sure the school would want it as quick as possible, but also done right.
Right. Okay, so then that'd be August 22nd.
Okay.
Okay,
So if I could just interject one more time. So the motion is to authorize me to prepare a local law indicating that there's to be no parking signs installed on the south side, what we all know is Upper Murray Avenue, especially those that live on Murray Avenue proper. Just to be sorry.
Plus one right in
Happens
front
to
of
be
your
you.
house.
Now, are we designated, is it 24 hours, or is it 9 to 5, or is there any thought to that?
Well, I would say my preference would be 24 hours personally, because also it's not just the schools. The problem is, I drive on that road every day. You go up that hill, it's a blind hill. And a lot of times there is a car parked on the blind side of the hill. And it is dangerous. Sometimes there's cars parked on both sides of the blind side of the hill. So someone going down the hill is also coming straight up. That's my preference, I mean.
And I only bring it up so the local law is clear as possible, because we, in certain areas of the village, we have limited, there's certain hours, and certain, it's 24 hours, so.
Is it 24 in Lincoln? I think it would make
And the
sense.
same,
I'll
actually, on my
assume the
portion
same.
of Murray Avenue, except for church, there's no parking on the south side of Murray Avenue.
On
'Cause
Lincoln
I know-
Avenue, because there are school activities as well, this was John Eckerson who moved for this.
Well, I will tell you that certainly on Murray Avenue, it's longer than that, because I got my first parking ticket from Frank Budd in 1977 for parking on the wrong side of Murray
I
Avenue.
got it right here.
Thanks much.
So,
They'll come back and haunt you, I know.
Mike, so based on what they're asking here, they're asking to have no parking period on the street.
on one side.
On one side,
Well, here it just says no parking.
On the south
No, no, no.
side.
on the south side.
Okay, well, I thought south is heading up the street.
It is. Coming
And,
down.
okay, from the way I'm just saying, the way I interpret this is it says the traffic flow between Scotchtown and McNally Street.
No, on that one side, okay, if you're driving up the hill, if you
Right.
will.
So on the right side, they don't
Yeah,
want
they're
it.
just on the
Correct.
right side. Just
Yeah,
one side.
Pete, you gotta think of McNally coming in front of GIS, because I had a second to figure that out too. If you think where McNally intersects with Scotchtown, it'll throw you off. Think of McNally in
I
front of
just think it
GIS.
complicates the matter with the south side, or whatever, on the right side of the street.
I know, I agree with you.
I mean,
I agree.
going
Well,
up, going up.
way. We're going
If you're-
Especially since South
You
Church
turn
is
off
east.
Scotchtown, going up Murray, it's on the right side of the street parking.
Right.
But just to be clear, we're only looking for the one side. So I'll make sure David approves that. All right, so,
I think you're better off.
okay, so if it's 24 on Lincoln, I'd say we follow suit, make it clear.
You have activities.
Okay, so I'll ask for a motion on that.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so the night of my birthday, we'll have a public hearing.
Really, August
August
22nd?
22nd.
That was an unsolicited
It's almost my anniversary.
promotion
Wow.
for Kyle's birthday.
All right.
Should write that down, Meg.
Items of business. Abstract of vouchers. Abstract of vouchers, I'll ask for a motion.
Somewhere.
Second.
Second.
Bills examined by members of the board were approved in accordance with abstract 2011, 2012, numbers 2, 3, and 4, check numbers 1872 through 2039, in the amount of $664,235.55. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now, this is what we've been talking about regarding the parking spots at Go Back to designate the 4 spots that are adjacent to the Go Back building as only for Go Back. They've been having a tough time finding spots to park when they get calls because those spots are supposed to be for Go Back, but it's not by order of the village board, so it's not enforceable. This will make it so it will be enforceable. So talked about that. So I'll ask for a motion.
Some of,
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right. The village board hereby resolves to hold a public hearing on August 8th, 2011 at 7:30 PM to consider dedicated parking spaces for Goshen Volunteer Ambulance Corps, 111-16-3. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Now, what exactly with that, are we going to, I mean, we have the legalities to that all
Yeah.
intact?
It falls under us.
Okay, all right.
Okay, this is the resolution on our dental insurance. Before we move on this, Meg, do you just want to speak to this? Because I know you and Sarah have been spending a lot of time and doing a nice job on this.
Just that's basically the same insurance coverage we have now, a savings of approximately $900 a month.
The savings of, say that loud and clear.
So, yeah, just to reiterate, Meg and Sarah have been spending a lot of time on this, and they've uncovered a way where our employees can get the same coverage they're getting now, but at far less cost to the village. So it's a great job to you and Sarah. Meg, thank you very much. I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All right, and we know that we checked with both the employees' unions and everyone's on board with this. So it'll be a good thing, we'll save some money. All right, the mayor is hereby authorized to sign an agreement with MetLife for the provision of dental insurance for a period of 1 year to commence August 1st, 2011. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, passes. All right, next thing, we have a resolution here opposing the federal wetlands recovery program for black dirt soil. Just to provide everyone some background, the federal government has put together a program where they can revert farmland back to its natural state of wetlands in some areas, which I think it has a lot of benefits to the environment. You know, wetlands are a good thing, but the challenge with this is it impacts the black dirt region in Orange County, and that's such a niche area, and it's such an important thing about food sources and everything. The problem is if someone, basically, let me back up. The way this works is the federal government will pay someone over $5,000 an acre to put an easement, right? An easement on their land to make it so they can no longer farm on that land, and that land has to revert back to wetlands. So, and basically that $5,000 or whatever it is more than double the market price for this farmland. So if Bob the farmer wants to sell his land and his neighbor wants to buy his land, he would make much more money putting the easement on from the federal government than continuing to farm it. The problem is with the black dirt area, if someone turns their tract of land back into wetlands, it has an adverse impact on all the black dirt around that area. And economically, based on the numbers, it's hard for someone to say no if they're looking to get out of farming or move. It's hard for them to say no to the numbers, but the problem is it's going to have a dramatic negative environmental impact or financial impact on the other farmers in the area. And you know, with everything going on, it's important to protect our food sources. I know that the town boards of of Warwick, Chester, and I believe last week Goshen have all passed a similar resolution. Even though Goshen doesn't have any black dirt in it per se, but those areas, they are our neighbors out there. They, a lot of our farmers market farmers are based in the black dirt, and I think it's important that we as a village board support our local agriculture. So that's why I'd like us to pass this tonight. There might be some questions, I'm sure, but just to start it up, I'll ask for a motion. Second?
Second.
All right, any comments or questions on this?
Well, I have a couple of comments or probably questions as well. One of the magnificent things about the black dirt area is that there is so little of this kind of land throughout the country. And it has been the basket of farming for this area, and it is such a special place. Now, I once took a class on aerial spraying, as a matter of fact, in the black dirt region, and got to know some of the farmers, and I've worked with many of the farmers over the years closely. It is a hard life, and yes, some of them made a tremendous amount of money, but on the other side, they're very hardworking people. And what you're talking about here is the government giving them a one-time fee, correct?
Yes.
A one-time payment of $5,000 an acre in order to turn it back into wetlands. I'm not quite clear about the government's motivation beyond the largesse of reclaiming wetlands, when they know full well that the impact of declaring this a protected national wetland would be that you could not farm within any area where you could have drift of any of the fertilizers going into that area, which would kill the black dirt region for farming. For that reason, it seems apparent to me that I have to support the farmers who, from what I can garner, are opposed to this.
Yes, absolutely. There's been a number of farming groups that have come out opposed to this.
Yeah.
And this resolution isn't saying we're opposed to the program on whole, because there might be some
No,
validity in certain areas.
it's a great program
Right.
in different kinds of areas.
Right, but not in the muck dirt region.
No.
So, all right. Any further comments or questions on this?
Well, I mean, even so, it doesn't have a direct impact on us here. I mean, I think that, you know, our part in it is we're just as neighbors lending our support to neighboring municipalities, you know, in their concurrent with it. But I'm assuming that all the other, what areas around us are on board with this. I mean, it's like Village of Florida is, Chester is, Warwick, all these other places that it more impacts them. It impacts them, not us. Are they all,
Absolutely.
you know, in favor of this?
Yeah, I was contacted by legislator Tom Bohoke, who lives out of the Black Bear area, farming area. But then last week, I had a conversation with Michael Sweden, who's the supervisor of the town of Warwick. And actually, that's who I got this resolution from him. You know, that's the largest tracts of black dirt in that area, and they're very much opposed to the program as is because of the adverse impact it would have on that black dirt area. So they're in favor, Chester's in favor. I believe the town of Goshen is also passed something similar to this last week. So we're just kind of following suit to lend our support to them. All right, we'll read through this now. About a page, we'll get through it. The village board resolves to adopt the following resolution to request that the federal government take urgent measures to withhold, withdraw, or rescind the federal funds they've allocated for the Wetland Reserve Program in New York State, whereas the WRP, which is administered through the offices of the Natural Resource Conservation Service, is a program that is intended to convert wetlands, specifically mucklands, that have been in agricultural production back to a pre-cultivated hydrology, and whereas this practice may be a sound practice for some muckland areas, it would have severe and unintended consequences to areas such as Orange County's Black Dirt region, including but not limited to uncontrolled weed infestation, water drainage problems, insect and wildlife control issues, and an overall weakening of the agricultural industry. Furthermore, it would be in direct violation of New York State drainage law because a drainage district was established in the Black Dirt region in the 1930s. And whereas the Village of Goshen understands the importance of the Black Dirt region for the purposes of agricultural production, and whereas it is the firm belief and proven knowledge that the Black Dirt region of Orange County is best suited for agricultural production, where farmers currently farm contiguously in an area of nearly 12,000 acres, and whereas this 12,000 acre area known today as the Black Dirt region, and provided it is drained of excess water, is ideal for agriculture because of its high organic matter content, its depth, its level gradient, and that it is stone-free, and furthermore, a New York State law of 1935 established the Wallkill Valley Drainage Improvement District, which encompasses the Black Dirt lands of Orange County, whereby 51 commission ditches were established, and to date, this drainage improvement district still exists. Now therefore, with record high food prices today, and having a fertile Black Dirt region consisting of 12,000 continuous acres located only an hour's drive from New York City, it makes very little common sense to apply the Wetlands Reserve Program here in Orange County. Now thereby, be it resolved, the Village of Goshen highly recommends that the federal government, through the offices of NRCS, withhold, withdraw, or rescind the federal funds that have been allocated for the Wetland Reserve Program. And furthermore, copies of this resolution shall be sent to the federal and state of New York offices, NRCS, and the Orange County Farm Service Agency, as well as to appropriate federally elected officials. As follows: Schumer, Gillibrand, Hayworth, and Hinchey. All right, that's it.
Should it not say, and now therefore, 12,000 located in Howard's traffic area, it makes very little common sense to apply the Wetlands Reserve Program here in Orange County's Black Dirt region. There could be other areas of Orange County that it would apply.
Probably.
To me, this is supposed to be very specifically about
Right.
the Black Dirt region, and for that I give total support.
Right.
I wouldn't want this to be able to be applied to someplace else where you could, like this, it's not that sense. Lawyer man.
This is not a resolution I prepared, so.
Yeah. I can
I'm
tell
asking
you-
your opinion.
This is what Warwick passed, and they have multiple farmers in there, you know, and.
Is it clear to you that it is referring to the Black Dirt region, correct?
It says Black Dirt Region.
It does. Okay, then I should have to.
Now therefore, with regard to record high food prices,
Blah, blah.
Black Dirt Region.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And last, this is the item of business number 5. This is the escrow money. And I'm just going to read a letter from Artoli on this. Dear Mayor Ronnie, I am in receipt of a letter dated July 20th, 2011 from Mr. Stephen T. Esposito, RLA, regarding the above. I have reviewed this matter with Mr. Ted Lewis, building inspector, and neither one of us have any outstanding issues which need to be resolved in regards to this project. Therefore, in regards to our reviews, neither the building inspector nor I have any other comments to make at this time. I have no objections to the release of any escrow monies being held by the village of Goshen. So this is just to release the escrow monies that we've been holding for King's Act. I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, trustee comments. We'll start with trustee Matthews.
Okay, well, I've been working on the lighting. I've also been working with NICEAG about their scheduling for reclaiming and reestablishing the areas that they have been violating with laying their new line. I'm happy to say that the person in charge has been very responsive. He has blacktopped in areas, you know, where he needed, because they left pits in roadways. Unfortunately, the roads we had just done. Photos are being taken of all of the different areas that they are violating. There are 5 more streets that they have to complete with, and that they are hoping to have this completed by Thanksgiving. Aside from that, we are only minus 0.5 inches in the reservoir, and at this time of the summer, that's a wonderful thing. And everything is exceedingly lush. We are in communication once again with Mr. Diana and the county in trying to keep our CRV work moving forward at all times.
All right. Trustee Char?
Just a reminder, once again, and I'll remind you again next Monday, Arden Hill is closing on August 5th, Friday, August 5th, so unfortunately, for some reason, you need to go to the hospital on Friday, August 5th or beyond. You need to go to the new Orange Regional Hospital campus at 707 East Main Street in Middletown.
Are they setting up a temporary ER out there that day?
Nope. If you get there, they will simply direct you to Orange
That's it.
Regional.
It closes.
Closed down. So, that's it.
All right. Trustee Smith?
This past week, obviously, where we had the extreme weather, the heat center, the senior center was open till 8 p.m. on those days for a cooling center. And my understanding, there were not, an astronomical amount of people, but there were some people that did opt to go there to get out of the heat. They didn't have options elsewhere and stuff. And my understanding is, I guess the contingency for that is, should we hit record temperatures such as we did the past week, that that's going to be an ongoing thing.
Okay. All right, I'm going to read the DPW report for Trustee Stewart. Crews prepared for, worked during and cleaned up for Great American Weekend. A handicap compliant sidewalk was installed at the Salesian Park bathroom. Crews are in the process of cleaning and repairing catch basins. A 100-foot by 20-inch culvert pipe was replaced on Justin Court and Golden Hill Avenue. Sewer report. Sues have been working on the clarifier tank at the sewage treatment plant. Just again to state that we are putting together a committee to review village sign laws. We have had some interest expressed by a number of people, but we're looking for more. Specifically, we're reaching out to the chamber to get some business owners involved. And as soon as we have a first meeting date, everyone will be involved. That's involved will be notified. And lastly, before citizens' comments, this past week, myself and Trustee Smith were able to meet with a grant writer. We talked about the services that his company provides. I was very impressed with them. The Burge Group, I believe they're called, about different ways to bring in revenue through grants and strategies. And depending on how the board feels, I'd love to bring them in to give their presentation to the rest of the board in the work session. Pete, did you have any comments on the meeting?
Well, I just think that we should, me personally, I just feel that we should kind of discuss it in length before we put them in that. I don't think they made it that far yet, as
Okay.
far as coming to see us and sitting down and exploring it, because there could be some other alternative ways around it. The possibility in my mind exists that you could even potentially have a person that might be cost effective to get our own person that would be their sole responsibility, would be to write grants, and it would be more cost effective than that. So I think we just need to look at the whole aspects of it, and then we need to look at, explore throughout all the departments, just exactly what things, put everything out on the table, do our assessment, which we can ourselves. And then, I mean, that's just me. So I mean, I just think that to bring them in here to even discuss it, we can pass on to anybody whatever we kind of discussed with them, which wasn't much anything, other than just asking how much.
So maybe at a work session, just have, just a discussion just as for now, kind of determine it right now. I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good.
Put that on the agenda for the next work session. Discuss, kind of develop a coherent grant strategy moving forward, whether it's internal or bringing someone in. All right, citizen comments.
If nobody else is going to jump in here. Am I to understand correctly that on Taylor Recycling, if and when that should happen, that they will take all of our material and render moot this question of recyclables?
That I'm not positive about. I can tell you that we're still analyzing the contract, that nothing's been signed. There were certain things in the initial contract that was put forward that the village is not going to agree to. David's spending a lot of time on this. Without having it in front of me, I can't really speak to the nuances about recycling. I don't think they would be taking our recycling. I don't believe so. I could be wrong about that. But, you know, I can, whatever we have, I can make sure.
So they're only taking, because they were talking about construction waste, I thought they were taking everything, not just organic material.
Like I said, next meeting, I'll make sure I have to answer whatever questions you have about that. I don't want to misspeak without having it in front of me.
And I think it would be good for us to be as clear as possible.
Absolutely.
Exactly what we are talking about, because if we still have to deal with recyclables, that's obviously a different situation.
Sure.
And as a matter of fact, one of my reservations about Taylor is that recyclables, more and more, depending upon the degree to which they are curb separated, are becoming a resource rather than a burden.
They have value.
And they have value, and we could, if we had a high degree of separation, end up having a cash crop.
We tried that once. I just wouldn't want you to be
Times have
unrealistic about
changed.
that.
You know, I understand. It used to,
It used to pay and then
Sure,
you
for
had to pay
example,
them.
newsprint now, you can't give it away.
Give it away,
you know.
exactly, so.
Whereas at one time it did have value, and it may yet again have value.
I don't know.
It's one of your reservations about Taylor. You know, you're talking 20 years, things change.
Absolutely.
On the last meeting, I'd asked about the litigation, and then last week at the work session, I clarified with Mr. Donovan about the Murray Avenue slip and fall. But just for the public record, you want to just state where we are?
Well, that case was dismissed. The plaintiff's attorney filed a notice of appeal. To my knowledge, that appeal has not been perfected. They have 6 months from the date that they filed the notice of appeal. I have the insurance company attorney is handling that, so I don't know whether that 6 months has come and gone yet. But to my knowledge, no appeal has been perfected.
But they did file a notice of.
Correct, which is relatively simple to do.
Right.
Perfecting the appeal and filing the brief is another issue.
But it keeps it open.
It keeps it open for a period of time, correct?
Right. Another one for you is, you were going to look into the posting on the 52 acres?
Well, I think the posting on the 52 acres was when the contractor was removing the waste. The theory at the time was, or the dirt pile, that members of the public should not feel welcome on the site. There's a lot of heavy equipment, a lot of activity, a lot of trucks, and my recollection, Mayor Higgins at that time ordered the property posted.
And while the camera's still pointed at you, where do we stand on the consent order?
You know, Joel, the consent order is going to take care of itself. We need to take care of the dirt pile.
I'm not sure how to translate that. Is the AG still dealing with us? Is there going to be a fine for sewer and for the dirt pile? Fines, plural.
Well, undoubtedly there will be a fine. There's no question about that.
So there will be some form of an order at some point.
No question about that either.
And
Here, as I've always said, that process is going to take care of itself. The issue that needs to be resolved by the village is solving the problem.
right.
And that's where my energy has been devoted, and that's where the energy of the village board has been devoted. Certainly, the Attorney General has been in contact with me, and that
That's
process, yeah, correct.
So there is continuing communication.
That's correct.
Do we have any idea at this point of an end point in those discussions?
An end point within
An
those
end date.
discussions?
End date.
You know, Joel, you ask me that every couple of weeks. I give
And
you,
keep
I
going.
give you time frames that come and go. So let me just say
It's
soon.
not February
Let me
anymore.
just say soon. Soon.
Right.
For no other reason
Whatever
than we
that
don't have to have this conversation anymore.
That's what you were saying in December. February.
Everything's relative.
Okay. Is there any further information about the situation with Police Drive? Has that progressed at all?
Not on our end. I believe that the town took our resolution and sent a letter to the DEC telling them that the village is willing to provide the water, and the DEC, and I don't have that letter in front of me, said something along the lines of, we're controlling the situation, we're sending them the bottles of water,
Yeah. So there hasn't been anything further?
nothing new has been communicated to me.
The situation at Epsilon, has that progressed?
They were issued a order to remedy regarding the odor, and they have since complied with that order. It's been over a week now, maybe close to 2 weeks, Art. And since then, from my knowledge, and I've heard nothing otherwise, there has not been an odor. But I know that the businesses in that area, if there is one, they won't hesitate to reach out to us. So, based on the fact that we haven't heard anything, I would assume that even late at night, the odor has ceased. But it's something we're going to continue to monitor, and I know that our engineers in constant communication with their engineer, and Mike Nuzleese is in constant communication with their sewer operators.
It's good for, the machinery of
Right.
government is working. That's a
And
good
at
thing.
the end of the day, they're going to be a great business to have here. They're going to be a
absolutely.
water sewer user, large piece of land.
And the last thing I had for you is when you first took the chair, you had spoken about reaching out to the comptroller's office to get an outside audit. What, if anything, happened with that, and where does it stand?
I called the office, and I didn't hear anything back, but I've been, every so often, the controller puts out a press release, so I've been reading those. In terms of getting that audit to come in, that has not happened yet. It's something I'm still interested in doing. But, most of the, as David mentioned, most of the energies have been with dealing with the other issues. But I feel now, as I did then, that it can only be a productive thing. Make sure that
Absolutely.
certain things are in order and there's certain controls. So it's something that I'm interested in.
And you had suggested at that time that if it were not possible through the comptroller's office, that it might be a good thing to do through an independent.
Yeah, I mean,
Move as well.
ideally, zero cost is the name of the game
Sure.
whenever possible.
Sure.
The reality is there's, in other municipalities, they've had red flags where things happen. We haven't seen any red flags. There's no indication that, there's any issues whatsoever. It's a good practice to get that
Nonetheless,
done periodically.
it's a good
Right, but
practice.
it's not like there's some kind of flag where there's an urgency where it needs to be done yesterday. That being said, I'd rather have it done sooner rather than later.
Sure. And just along those lines, I'll talk to you later, I was looking for something else and was poking around the comptroller's site, and I came across some very interesting resources there on the site. And I'll talk to you about those later.
Okay, sure.
There's practically like a little master's degree program that's available online there in municipal management.
Let's see. You know, obviously, we disagreed with the findings of the sewer audit the controller did, but they've definitely been doing a lot of work and finding some good information. I mean, whenever they put out those press releases, they have a lot of great information. You know, they recently did a shared service study in Ulster County that was very interesting. The controller's been working hard, and his department's been putting out a lot of good information.
Well, above and beyond their auditing, they have a lot of resources and reports on best practices and ways to save money.
Sure.
I came across something on their site, again, not related to this, but also very interesting, that I did not know, that they have a communications contract. The state has a communications contract available through, I believe it's through the comptroller's office, on internet and phone services, which from my very quick perusal of it looks very attractive.
Yeah? Okay.
A way to save big money.
It's interesting. All right.
I'll talk to you later about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further citizen comments? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to move into executive session to discuss arbitration with the town of Goshen with no intent to do any business after we return.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to vote aye. All right, thank you very much, everyone.